Off my feed. I'm there and think.
You can see, right? It's going to. I think like how I can read the comments.
Ah, there it is.
You just let me know if like any comments come up, because I'll be presenting.
Okay, so I think we'll wait for another 2-3 minutes for people to join, and we'll start once we have good numbers.
Good numbers of like 2.5.
Yeah, let's see.
Fahim, shall we start?
Yep, let's go.
All right. Hi, everyone. So welcome to the first part of the Flutter Development Quest sessions. So today it's going to be an introduction to Flutter, and then in the end we're going to cover the first lab part, which is part of the Development Quest, which is a setup on Google Cloud. Before we go, let's just introduce ourselves. So Fahim.
Yeah, so my name is Fahim, and I'm a fourth-year computer science student. I'm a part of the GDSC core team, and I'm specializing in data science. So today I'll be taking the lab part of the session. So I'll be doing the first lab in the Flutter Development Quest.
And I'm Vishan. I'm also a fourth-year computer science student specializing in data science, as well as part of the GDSC core team. And yeah, I'm going to be covering the introduction slides for today's session. So this is a rough agenda of what's going to happen. So roughly by 2:20, we'd cover the introduction. So that's just like basic concepts and a little bit of like history around Flutter. Then Fahim's going to cover the lab, and then towards the end, we're going to have a Q&A session. So what is Flutter? So Flutter is basically an open source UI software development kit. It was created by Google for building natively compiled applications for mobile, web, desktop, all from a single code base. So what that means is you can develop a single project that, all that means is you can create like a single project that has support for multiple platform-specific specifications. Flutter is written using the Dart programming language, which is also developed by Google. It's very similar to Java and JavaScript, so it's relatively easy to pick up. Flutter's initial release was in May 2017, and it's currently on version 2.5.3, which released this month. So who uses Flutter? So, well, obviously Google, they developed it, so they started using it for some of their mobile apps. Tencent, a Chinese electronic company, they use it for some of the products that they sell. eBay uses it for, I think it's called the eBay Motors app. It's available in North America. That's written in Flutter. The Alibaba Group, Chinese e-commerce company, they also implemented, I think it's an app that you can use to sell second-hand items in China. Then BMW used it for the My BMW app, so it's a way to interact with your car. And Emaar, the Emirati property company, they use it, so it's like a property app that you can view on your mobile devices. So some similar technologies. So you have the Android SDK. So that's meant for building Android apps that's using Java. Then you have Swift, which is made by Apple and is intended to build Apple apps. So that's for iOS, iPadOS, and macOS. Then you have Xamarin, which was developed by Microsoft using the .NET framework and C#. So that's intended for mobile apps using Android and iOS. And then a tool that you probably have heard of, it's called React Native. So that takes the React JavaScript framework and adds native platform capabilities to it. So that way, not only can you make websites, but you can also develop like mobile apps and desktop apps. And out of the 4 tools mentioned here, it's probably the one that's most similar to Flutter. So why should you learn Flutter? So Flutter is simple to learn and use. So Flutter is a modern framework. It's way simpler to create applications with it. So if you have used Java, Swift, or React Native, you'll notice how Flutter is different. So it also has quick compilation, so for maximum productivity. So you can change your code and see the results in real time. It's called hot reload, so it only takes a short amount of time after you save the update to see the application itself. Then it's ideal for startup MVPs as well. So if you want to show your project to investors as soon as possible, Flutter is a good choice. So for example, with the mobile app they're trying to develop, you don't need to maintain a separate application for iOS and Android. You can write one project and in Flutter and it supports both. It also has good documentation, so you can learn a lot from Flutter's documentation. Everything is well detailed with easy examples for basic use cases. So each time I've had a problem with one of my widgets in my code, I have been able to check the documentation and the answer was always there. And a growing community as well. So being a newer technology, back released quite recently in 2017, Flutter has a robust community which is still growing. So there are a considerable number of places to exchange info on Flutter. So one being Flutter Awesome, which is a website that curates the best Flutter libraries and tools. So this website publishes daily content with lots of examples, application templates, advice, and so on. There's even a Flutter community on Medium where you can find articles, tutorials, and much more. So now that you have sort of a basic understanding of what Flutter is and some history, let's get into some basic concepts. So here we have like a pretty simple block of code in Flutter. I'm not going to explain all the specifics, but the gist of it is what's happening is so you have a centered text that says you have pushed the button this many times. Underneath that is a counter variable, so that's centered in the screen. Underneath that, you have a button with a plus icon on it, and every time you press that button, it calls an increment function which changes the counter. So there's just a quick glimpse of what a Flutter code block would look like. So widgets, you might have heard the term, which I mentioned. So everything in Flutter is a widget. You can think of it as like Lego building blocks. So you basically combine multiple widgets to create what we like to call a widget tree. And that tree of connected widgets would be your application. So from that, you can tell that their purpose is to describe how the view looks, which is the user interface. When a widget state changes, the widget rebuilds its description, so which the framework compares against the previous description of the in order to determine the changes needed to render the tree from one state to another. On the right, we have an example. So this is just a quick block of code. If you can think of it like a Hello World application in Flutter. So what's happening is you have a center widget, and its child widget is a text widget. In that widget, you've pretty much just showing the world hello world. In that you're just showing hello world with the text direction as left to right. That's what LTR means. Yeah. So layouts in Flutter. So layouts is how you get like your structure in a Flutter application. And again, everything in Flutter is a widget. Even layout models are considered widgets. So these are things that you don't see, such as rows, columns, grids that arrange, constrain, and align the visible widgets. So if you look at the previous example, right, the text widget is something that you can see, but the center widget is like the layout widget that's performing an action behind the scene, which you can't really see. So that's pretty much one of the layout widgets in Flutter. You can create a layout by composing widgets to build more complex widgets, which basically means you can combine rows and columns and other layout widgets to build something that's even bigger. So for example, here we have a navigation bar. So the first widget is a row widget, and its children, child widgets, are all columns. So that's 3 columns. So the first column has an icon widget, and underneath that is the call, which is a text widget. So, and if you repeat that 3 times, that's how you get this layout right there. Now, this is pretty simple, but if you want to look at something that's a little bit more complex, here's something that can show that. So the border in red, that's the first widget, and that's a row. Inside that row, you have the column, which is highlighted in like light blue, and then the image widget, right? So let's break down. So you have the image widget that's on its own, but if you want to look at the column, which is in light blue, so the first 2 children are 2 text blocks. So one has the title and then the description. The third child is another row widget, which has the 5 stars and 170 reviews. The fourth child is now another row, and inside that row are 3 columns. And so if you want to break down the first column, that's the fridge icon with the prep text and 25 minutes. So if you look at the whole thing together, that's like one big layout tree. You basically combine single layout widgets and you've made something more complex. And actually, this entire thing is considered a widget. So navigation and routing. So let's say you want to move to a different screen, right? Like, how would you do that? That's where the navigator class, which is also a widget, would come into use. So basically what it does is it manages a set of child widgets which have like a stack-like discipline. So in terminology for Flutter, you call screens and pages as routes. So that's how you categorize them. So for example, if you want to navigate to a second route, you call the navigator.push, and if you want to go back to the first route, you call navigator.pop. So you can see how it works like a stack. So if you want to see that in code, we have 2 examples here. So so the image on the left uses the push method. So it adds a route to the stack of routes managed by the navigator class. So the route is made using a widget called the material page route. This is also like a widget that's useful because it helps with transitions to make it look a lot smoother. Then on the right, we have the pop action, so navigator.pop, that basically just removes the current route from the stack of routes, which is also managed by the navigator. Now it's data and backend. So this is the code that users don't see. So with any, so this is like, Flutter is basically like your front end tool, right? But you need backend, like a backend to actually bring your app to life. This is where something like a backend service would come into play. So it's basically like a cloud model that helps developers automate backend development functions, providing several tools to help create backend code and accelerate development. Some features of such service include like APIs, file storage, data management, and push notifications. Some good examples are probably like AWS Amplify, Firebase, and Backendless. These pretty commonly used backend services with Flutter projects. And actually, we will be covering Firebase, which is part of the Flutter Development Quest in the last lab. So you guys will get like a hands-on experience of how to use, like, integrate like a Firebase project, Firebase backend with your Flutter project. Then we have packages and plugins. So let's say you want to add more functionality to your application. This is where packages and plugins come in. So they allow you to quickly build apps without having to develop everything from scratch. So a package basically contains dependencies to Dart libraries, apps, resources, etc. So these dependencies are mentioned in a file called the pubspec file. This gets auto-generated with every Flutter project that you make. So an example of a package could be like a custom navigation bar. So if you find a package that has an implementation that you like, all you have to do is just add that dependency to your PubSpec file, and then from there you can import that to your project and then change the settings of that navigation bar to the way you want it. So this saves you, the developer, a lot of time for having to implement something like that from scratch. Then we have plugins, which is also like a package, but it has more like platform-specific functionality. So like, let's say if you want to access your device's camera, microphone, speaker, file storage, some stuff like that, that's where plugins would come into play. So that's pretty much it for the slides. It's nothing too detailed, but through the labs, that's when we're going to get more hands-on with Flutter and teach you guys like how you'd actually go about making the project. So now I'm going to hand it over to Fahim, who is going to cover the first lab.
All right. So and don't worry, guys, if you're very like overwhelmed with all the information that's been passed on to you right now. I know it can be a lot. So just take it in slowly, and we will be going through the sessions in a series. So we will give you more information and more hands-on learning throughout the series. And can I share my screen right now? Yeah.
Okay.
So to get to the lab, we need to go to Quick Labs first. And if someone's doing it live with us, they can join. So Quick Labs, go to Catalog. And actually, you need to sign in first. Sorry. So sign in. And okay, Catalog, search of Flutter Development. And it's the first quest. So this is going to be a quest. It's basically a series of labs. As you can see, there are a few here, right? There are, I think, there are 5 in total. So we will be covering this in like throughout the sessions, along with the theory that we will be teaching you. So let's get started with the first lab and start lab. Yeah, I'm not a robot, so crosswalks done. No bicycles. And for those of you who have the subscription, we need to use this. So even people who are joining us, as viewers or joining the GDSC, the Quick Labs. Okay, so you need to use the subscription, right? And sign in, get the details, and start off. So let's go. So this is a basic overview. Okay, it's basically Flutter is a Google UI toolkit for to build applications and natively compiled mobile, web, and desktop applications, as Vishan mentioned. And so this lab we'll just be using. We'll be creating a Flutter app with just a template code, a very basic Flutter app, just like a Hello World program in your other programming languages. And this is kind of like what you will be, what we'll be doing right now. It's a template of what you will have. And yeah, so prerequisites, you don't really need to know Dart completely. You can learn, like as we explain in our live sessions like this. And any prior programming language knowledge is good enough for you to get started with your Flutter development and using Dart. It's fairly straightforward. All you have to do is just use widgets, as Vishan mentioned, rows and columns, and put stuff in it like buttons or text boxes, or make your GUI and like whatever. So it's fairly straightforward. And okay, so I was supposed to do this before I click the start lab button, but well, here we are. But so we need basically an access to an internet browser and time to complete the lab. And okay, so once we have this, we have an inbuilt IDE that shows up in the browser itself. So you can copy this, right? And if you're in a new tab, this is what you will get. If some of you have used VS Code before, this is so this is very similar to VS Code. And I'll be split screening and I'll be doing it live, so anyone doing it with us can follow. Okay, and what else? Yes, paste the IDE, then Flutter Extensions. So this is the extension icon. If you click on this, you will get a list of all the extensions that are needed. And we can, so this requires a reload. We can just reload this. Continuing with the template. Okay, so let's go over to terminal. new terminal, and enter the following command. So let's copy, paste this, paste, allow, yeah. And sometimes the Control V doesn't work in terminal, so it's you can use your right click on the mouse button once you've copied text. So if you right click on this, and as you saw, there was a pop-up there that said allow access to your clipboard. Just do that because this is on your Chrome browser, so you need to yeah. And after we run this command, we have something happening here. This will create a rough template, and application is done. So move to the startup name directory. Right, so cd, we'll copy this command and we'll paste it here again, right click, enter. And this is we've navigated now to the folder and the file name that we have to use. And we can now exit the terminal, right? Startup now been completed, exploring the Flutter code. So now let's see what the application has created for us. Name directory, right? So we need to go to the file explorer and open folder, right? So now home, we can follow this path, cd startup, so IDE dev and startup namer. This is what we need. Enter and say okay. So this will open up your application that you just created. And yes, pubspec.yaml. Okay, let's give you a look at this as well. So this is where you'll have your dependencies listed in a pubspec.yaml file. Let me just, yeah, in a pubspec.yaml file, you will have your environment, your SDK version, and your Flutter dependencies listed down. So here, if you're using any package or you're importing any library to use in your Flutter application, this is where you have to enter your your new dependencies. And your Flutter SDK version. So in SDK, this version is updated very frequently. So if in case you need a particular feature of the SDK that was there in the previous version and not available now, you can always change your SDK version here in your pubspec.yaml file, and you can get to a specific version that you require. Okay, template code. Okay, the main dot is where most of your code would be. So that's in your library, in your lib folder. If you open this, you have your main dot, and this dot extension says a lot. Like this is basically the Dart language, right? So this is how your main file would look like, with all the code. It's mostly widgets, as Vishan mentioned, and initialization. So this would be your application. And okay, let's open a new terminal. Yeah, and show the directory set to startup namer. So as you can see, we have this. So the startup namer directory has been set, and Flutter Web Server. Let's use this. So it's going to launch a web server. What's going to happen now is we're going to make a virtual kind of a viewing platform. So this application can be viewed on a mobile device now, but emulated through the browser. So this is going to open up, as this says, the Flutter Web Server, and we can see like the live version as if it was published into the App Store or the Play Store. Just give it a second. Okay, so now that it's started, we can copy the live server link. So this is all the way up here. So this live server link, this is what you have to copy. And I'll go back to, yeah, and we need to make it in a new window. And we can see a rendering once it loads of our application. Yeah, right now this is loading on the web page, so you don't see like a mobile device. But if you had a mobile device connected, or if you're using VS Code, you can see it on an emulator. and we can see like a proper device usage, and we can see the aspect ratio properly, set in. And as you can see, the template here is given. So this is literally a push button, like a counter. So as I keep pressing this, you can see how many times I've pressed the button, right? And that's this basic code. You get this code every time you create a new Flutter, or you create a new Flutter application, and yeah, that's basically it. And the hot reload is what you'll have to do once you make any changes. So even a small change that you want to see on your on the display, then you will have to hot reload the entire application. So this will keep the display running. It will keep the what's it called? Yeah, the web application will keep running, but it'll just reload and show you changes in real time. Okay, yeah, there is a video here that you can watch that's directly from the Flutter team. I won't be doing that right now. And okay, let's follow this. So in this section, we use hot reload function to change the title. And live main.dart, yes, I'm here. So look for class my app. So these are classes. If you're familiar with Java and C, C# or whatever language that uses classes and objects, we have a class here that says my app. If I can find my app. Yes, this is the class, and this is stateless widget. We'll come into the specifics later on in our future sessions. So for now, we just need to do the basics and understand how the IDE works and how you can create the application or make changes to an existing application. So amend the homepage title. Okay, so homepage title. This is the title. So within this, you have your widget. So this is a build widget. This is your main widget for the entire application. And here you can change this to say first lab demo. All right. You can save it obviously by Control S. And yeah, so they have. Oh, sorry, my bad. This is changing the wrong thing. This should be the title. So in your my homepage title, this should be your first lab. All right. That's changed, and click on the open terminal window and press R. So on this open terminal, once you've set up your live server, so once you have, sorry, let me try to find this again. So once you have this, and this terminal would have this here. So you press R and it would it should reload. It should hot reload. Oh yeah. Oh sorry. So once this reloads, you need to refresh your page as well. So once you come here and refresh it, it will restart the application essentially, and you can see the change here. So it says first lab demo instead of the previous title. And yeah, so in these quick labs, you can also check your progress from time to time. So there are checkpoints basically to show that you've done that particular section of the lab. So you can check your progress, and this actually works. So it's not just a green tick mark. This actually works. It will check your progress and will come back saying yes, you've done it. Or if you haven't, it'll give you a red circle here and give you a description of what needs to be done. And yeah, congratulations, that's your first lab. So if you all have followed with me, or those of you who have done it on their own, congrats, you've created your first Flutter application. And we can now move on to the conclusion.
Yeah, we can switch back.
Handing it over to Vishan.
Yeah. Okay, so that should conclude the session today. It wasn't much, but it was just a quick intro into everything. Again, we will put these slides on the GDSC Teams group. That way you can get like easy access to. So the 3 links here, basically the first link is just a link to the quest that we're trying to complete with the sessions. So this lab that you did right now, that's the first one from this quest. And we'll complete the 4 that are left in the following sessions. Then there's a Flutter tutorial. So this is on their website. So this is pretty much like a step-by-step guide from installing to like some demos of how to use like different widgets. Again, like you can even see how they can even teach you how to use like the layout widgets like what we covered today. And you can basically build like small apps, and there's even Google Colabs where they'll like make you make somewhat like design like a proper app, but it'll be more of a live coding kind of thing with you, and they'll give you the solutions even if you're stuck. And then for packages, so this is the best website. It's called pub.dev. Basically, if you want to find any packages, plugins that are made by the community, this is the place to get them. So that's that for today. If we can move on to the Q&A session, if you guys have any questions.
Any specific question, guys? Anything to set up? Any questions with the lab?
You can stop sharing.
Yeah.
Provide the Teams code.
Teams code.
GDSC team.
Yes. One sec.
Moderators, could you just get that?
Speaking of moderators, we do have our GDSC lead here with us. That's Benjamin in chat. He's helping you guys out, and we also have someone in the background doing our presentation. Setting up the cameras, the screen sharing, and everything. It's CSK Chandrasekhar in the background. If you guys want to show yourselves, don't be shy.
So
say hi to everyone.
Firebase, Ismail asked a question. Firebase free to use for a limited time, or it has a free tier, and it should be enough if you want to make like a quick prototype app. So you can pretty much abuse that. Let's see. You want to answer any questions? Okay. You just do it.
I don't think there's much, right? It's all been answered, right? If I'm not mistaken.
So we're using an online code editor. So if you want to do the labs on Google Cloud, you'll basically use an online code editor. But if you want to download, get the Flutter SDK for yourself and run it on your own machine, you can get the links to the Flutter tutorial, which is on the website. That's included at the conclusion on these slides, which will be there on the Teams channel, don't worry. Will we cover Flutter setup? It depends. It's platform specific. So if you're on Mac OS or Windows, it's different. If you have any issues, you can probably reach out to us and we'll let you know what you can do to fix your problems. But the tutorial that they have on their website is pretty well detailed.
Okay, the token. Yeah, the token thing. So you don't necessarily need a token. Just sign up using your Harriet email or Google account, and the steps are mentioned in the chat below. Like Benjamin has written down a few steps. You can follow that, create your account, and use the subscription that you can just use to get your credits and use whatever you're doing. You can start off with your lab.
By the way,
then next
subscription. It says extra. The subscriptions only last roughly 30 days, like a month. So every time it expires, you have to do another lab, or there'll be some sort of setup process to get the subscription again. So for this month, I think Benjamin's put the link to it and given the instructions. So yeah. Thank you, Amin.
I think that's it. Oh yeah, we have another API question. API or packages from different languages. You technically everything needs to be in Dart, right? But if you're we haven't come across the use, because Flutter has a lot of dependencies and applications that have been created with the community. So you can use the APIs that they have you can use the dependencies that use those APIs in that language, So you don't necessarily need a different language. You have your Dart, language. And for example, for our coursework last year, we had to use Google Maps, like a location-based thing as well. So I used the Google Maps API using a dependency that that the Flutter community had developed. So it's fairly straightforward, although in for the first attempt it could take you some time to get used to, because it's not 100% polished. Remember, these are community created dependencies, so you won't get a 100% polished product, but you can specify what you need and tweak it a bit to make it work the way you want it to.
Yeah, but there are some packages that are official releases, so by the company themselves. So that's also there.
There's a Flutter as well. Yeah, they do a lot of dependencies. Yes.
For example, the Firebase API, that's officially done by Google, and that's available for you to access from pub.dev. if you want to use like a backend service.
Okay, so any other questions?
Pretty early. You can be on for a while.
Yeah. HTTP package call.
I could call it REST API for as well. No, 100% sure, but probably.
Never used it.
Yeah.
Do you think we can show an example of what we have done, or do we not?
If you want to get in trouble, then.
Okay, yeah, then we will keep that. We'll keep that later. Is there anyone from year 3 here? Year 3, Harriet Watt, doing computer science? Just put it in chat, just say me, or raise your hand or something, I don't know.
Yeah, no, they can raise your hand.
Yeah, YouTube section, sorry. You just say, you're there, or you know someone. Because you guys will need to create an app for your third year project, and yeah, so all of you, like, you might want to look into this, because most of us we use different kind of platforms. So for example, me and Vishan, we use Flutter, and we created a really good application, and it's good enough for an A, so if you get an A, it's good enough. So we use this called Flutter Development. I know others use a lot of different like platforms like JavaScript, React, and everything, and they found it a lot harder. So you might want to explore all your options before.
That's a whole other debate.
Yeah, it's debatable, but personally, I feel that Flutter is a lot better. It's a lot easier to use.
It's a lot easier to get your UI up.
Exactly.
Damn, what's that? It's a whole other topic.
So, any other questions, guys?
Actually, that's PW is the one. Yeah.
No, Flutter widgets is the way.
No, he's talking about like progressive web apps.
Yeah, I know, but Flutter, man. You know what? Every programming language is different. Every platform is different. You all can use whatever you're comfortable with. We're not like we're not trying to promote Flutter to be used in your courseworks. But yeah, Flutter is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't have any other questions, we can probably end in another 2 minutes, right?
When is the next session? So hopefully maybe Wednesday or Saturday again. We'll let you know. It's just they posted, like, so check our Instagram, LinkedIn.
So we're expecting to have around 5 to 6 sessions in total. This being the first one, so including this, 5 to 6 sessions. Yeah, either Wednesday or Saturday, every week, depending on when we are available, or when we feel that you guys have less deadlines. We'll try to get a good time for you all as well. So, but did you guys like the session on Saturday? Was this a good timing for you all?
And everything is recorded and it'll be on the GDSC YouTube channel. So subscribe. So if you miss it, you can always watch it back.
Mm-hmm. And we are going to have a few videos uploaded to sign up, get the subscription working. Steps mentioned in that Benjamin mentioned. Those steps, we're going to have a video about it coming up in the future. So if you want to subscribe, you can follow that video and get your subscription.
Yeah, that'll be just recorded, just proper instructions, just how to do it.
All right, I think we can end the session here, right? If there's no further question. Right? And we have CSK showing up. No, never mind.
Okay.
Appearance.
Okay, yeah. Hey Fahim, hey Vishan, yeah.
Hey, man. Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is the man working behind the scenes to ensure like the stream was working fine, perfectly, and everything. This is the man.
Hey everyone, just to introduce myself, I'm Chandrasekhar. I'm in my second year of computer science here at HWU. We welcome all the members, both who just joined today for the first time and those who have already been here from the very beginning. Welcome to everyone. So how did you guys like today's session? Please do mention it in the comments. And how's your week been? How's your month, your week, your day been?
I think we're stretching it a little too much now. I think we should end the session in about 2 minutes, man.
Sure, yeah, we can wrap it up by say 2:45 or 2:50, yeah.
Yeah.
And as Benjamin said in the chat, please do like this video, subscribe, of course, and do stay tuned for our future sessions. You can find it on our Instagram or on our Twitter at GDSC_HWU.
Big sad as well.
Yes, CSK is my president.
Exactly.
Now, the real president here is Benjamin.
Thank you.
Fortunately, he's not here on the stream yet. He's there present in the chat. If you're available, Benjamin, do join the stream right now so that you can actually come and speak up here.
Yeah. Special appearance.
Yep.
Thank you for the kind words.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll just give it another minute in case you guys have any other questions or want to drop something in the chat. Yep.
Oh, yes. Press the bell icon, guys. Notifications.
No problem, man. You excuse me.
No problem, Benjamin. Yeah. All right, then. I guess we hit the clock. It's 2:45 now. So I'll let you guys finish. I'll let you guys do the concluding statements for now, and then I'll wrap it up. Fahim, Vishan, over to you two.
All right. So I think that's it. So we'll meet you all in on Wednesday or Saturday for the next session. We'll keep you posted. Follow us on our Instagram page. Follow us on YouTube so you know when we're going to host the next session. And yeah, that's it. Hope you all enjoyed.
Yeah.
See you all later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for coming. See you.
Yep. I want to thank you all so much for joining today's session. Hope you guys had a blast. See you guys in the next one. This is GDSC at HWU University, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.